of her life. On behalf of my family, I thank you for being here with us today. I can tell you that Elaine loved this church, her pastor Dennis, and the members of this congregation very much. She was proud to be part of the life of this church, especially her prayer group. She was active in the crafters group, and most important to her was the prayer group and understanding God's word for her life. Her faith in God never wavered, and she knew where she was going. She had made plans to celebrate the Christmas holiday with you and did her best to hang on until then. But God had other plans for her, and his plans are perfect. I'm sure by now that Elaine is running some division of heaven as we gather here today to celebrate her life. Elaine passed away on December 9th at 4:15 a.m. at the age of 75. At that moment, her pain was over and she was received by God. You knew Elaine as someone who was quite disabled, who was a true leader, not easygoing, and often quite challenging, and it's sometimes downright impossible. She was passionate about her life, and she always stood up for what she believed was right. She never wanted to be thought of as disabled. She loved God, her family, and her church. She enjoyed shopping for old books, and she often sent them to me to read. She loved being around water, whether it was the ocean, her other home, a log cabin in the woods at Big Pond in New York State, or right in her backyard pool. Her broken body felt best in water. She and I shared a love of animals, including the many pets she cared for over the years, many of them injured or suffering a disability, not unlike her own. When I visited Elaine over the years, we would go on cruises, we would snorkel together at coral reefs, or visit the many animal parks in Florida, including the Miami Zoo, Parrot Jungle, and the Everglades. Those are very happy memories of time spent with my sister Elaine. Elaine has been in Florida for the past 30 years as a disabled person who needed the warmth that the North could not provide for her. I want to take a few minutes to share with you the Elaine who earlier in her life was a vital and very ambitious individual. Be thankful that I will only take a few moments. Elaine had planned a memorial service that would have lasted over 4 hours. She was the firstborn child of Thomas and Harriet Lambert. She was born bright, beautiful, and inquisitive. She was very challenging right from the start, according to my parents. She was always the big sister of Tommy and myself, and she let everyone know that she was the alpha child. She excelled in school, and she was always ready to challenge her teachers as well. She was the best at everything she did. She played first clarinet in the school band. She was smart and very popular. She was senior class president. She was beloved queen at Fidelis Triangles, daughter of Eastern Stars. She was never a follower. She was always the leader. She was an accomplished equestrian and often took me horseback riding as a young girl. She was a member of the Matamoros Drum and Bugle Corps, where she eventually met and married her husband. She was married by the time she was 19 to Leroy Stucker and had 2 wonderful daughters, Linda and Alice, my nieces. By the time Elaine was 21, she was a licensed beautician. She owned and operated her own beauty shop. She was very successful at all that she did. In her 20s, she became a licensed realtor, selling many properties in New York State. And by the time she was in her 30s, she had received her insurance broker's license, and she was employed by Mutual of Omaha as a regional manager with 25 salespeople underneath her. Elaine was a smart businesswoman. At one point during her career in insurance, she actually sold an insurance policy to Mick Jagger and the Rolling Stones. They were at Stewart Airport Base making an album, and she showed up there with them and had a meeting and sold them a huge policy. And that was one of her great claims to fame in life. In her late 20s, she was single again and dated some very outstanding men. One of them was a United States congressman, Benjamin Gilman, and another was a Broadway star of Man of La Mancha who won a Tony Award for his performance, Richard Kiley. She remarried at the age of 27 to William Race, an attorney in New York State, who urged Elaine to pursue her education. She attended college and received 2 college degrees, one in mathematics, my least favorite subject, and another in pharmacology. She knew she wanted to be a pharmacist. Her back problems became worse, requiring spinal fusion and more surgeries to follow. She was in a full body cast for 1 year, and her active life as she knew it came to a halt. Her second husband had passed away with a brain tumor when Elaine was only 35. She now was a single, disabled mother of 2 young girls. Elaine and my nieces had a very difficult time. Elaine's life was never the same and extremely difficult following her surgeries and the loss of her husband. She was never out of physical pain from then. Elaine's move to Florida was good for her. She loved the warmth that South Florida afforded her, and she had a good life here. She met many wonderful people and soon was connected to this church family, which was the best thing that ever happened to her. She loved this church family and she considered it her family. She always loved each and every member of our family as well. Although we can all attest that at some very difficult times we had with her, she loved her only grandson, Dustin, and she was overwhelmingly proud of him. She loved her God, and she knew she would have a place in heaven with him. However, she also had a tremendous will to live, even with every day being in tremendous pain. When the end came near, she shared with me how she wanted to be here for the holidays, but her doctors were telling her that was not likely. She talked often with me on the phone, knowing how much she wanted to celebrate the holidays with her prayer group and see this fantastic Christmas pageant that was going to be presented at this church. She talked in great depth about that. I told her that no one knows except God when you will die, but God's timing is perfect, and he will bring you to him when all is ready for her arrival. She liked hearing that, and after fighting the inevitable for quite some time, she went to sleep and she died peacefully. I love my sister Elaine, and I always will. She is now with God, and that's the best there is in life after a life well lived. God would say to her, "You did well, my daughter, my good and faithful servant." Thank you.